have something placed on the agenda for the council to address. Should have had it the last to the town hall by the last Wednesday of the month, previous month, by 3 o'clock. Anyone wishing to speak tonight will do so at the residents' concerns. Anyone else having something to say between now and then, please raise your hand in there or send me a chat. Approval of minutes from the August 5th, 2020 Town Council meeting. They have been emailed to everybody.
I'll make a motion. We accept the minutes as corrected.
Ed Smith, was that a second?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Palsgrove, seconded by Councilman Smith to approve the minutes from the August 5th, 2020 Town Council meeting. Councilman Smith will need an aye by you if you approve. Do you approve?
Aye.
All others, raise your hand, please. All four there are raised, so we have all five approved the minutes from the August 5th Town Council meeting. Mayor's report. Let me get that up here. Share screen. And why aren't you showing anything? Oh, this is great. All right. Try this again. Oh my, we got difficulties here. Gonna have to bear with me. Is anybody in a hurry? Because it looks like none of the documents that I have up are being shared for some reason. Let's see here, advance. Oh, basic. I don't know why they're not showing up tonight.
Do you have to have your video on, Mayor?
It might be my video is not working unless I reboot.
not if the storm's rolling through affecting it. I lost power here just a few minutes ago before we got disconnected, so I don't know if it's affecting the mayor's ability to be able to video conference.
Yeah, ours didn't go out, but it bleeped. So.
Anybody know any good jokes?
Neal got kicked off and he's rebooting now. He sent the text. So we're getting a storm here as well in Hanover. So this is actually our first technical difficulty. So I guess we were doing pretty good for a while there.
Called the Stage Street Curse.
Ed Smith, where are you camping at, buddy?
He looks like he's gone, Jerry. It looks like he's hung up. See?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happens in the woods.
No, I'm
Oh,
here.
there he
We're
is.
up in
He's
Gettysburg.
back. He's back.
Just up in Gettysburg.
Come home.
I'm not going out in this rain.
Yeah.
There he is. While we're waiting, did everybody have a chance to see the new banners?
Yeah, it looks great.
What do y'all think? I think they look really good.
It does, Donna. It looks great.
Sweet Caroline. Boom, boom, boom. You know what they do during the Red Sox games?
Yes.
Was in the spring, then spring became a summer.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't know if anybody can see me or not. My report. Oh my, Gary and I met with representatives from Indigo Vision and Westminster Security meeting about having cameras in Town Hall and then also in other locations. Dealt with on August 10th, dealt with a resident trespassing on town property. Apparently he's been frog hunting for poisonous snakes. So he has been told not to come onto town property. Signed a community parks and playgrounds application for the upgrades at Main Street Park where the gazebo is. On August 21st, we had a tractor trailer turn onto Blue Ridge Avenue and tore up some grass and knocked down the stop sign. And we're addressing that issue. We're going to need probably some signs eventually on College and Blue Ridge, because apparently they are also coming into College Avenue off of Route 75. There's a huge sign coming up past 7-Eleven on 31 that says trucks must turn on Route 75, but I guess their GPS for some reason takes them on to Blue Ridge. August 25th, had a mayor's Zoom meeting, very informational. The only municipality right now that is having meetings in Town Hall is Hampstead. They've had very little turnout. Manchester is thinking about it. And I sent the council and staff a Zoom link for the Carroll County Chapter MML meeting next Thursday. Mr. Robert McCoy Jr., the director of Carroll County Fire EMS, has been invited to attend. And that will be at 7 o'clock next Thursday. August 27th, down at Cybils Fields, Manager Dye will talk a little bit more about that in probably his report. But we met with Paul Berge, who is in charge of a baseball team, and he wants to bring multiple teams to New Windsor to play, to bring tournaments into town. And he's going to be taking care of Cybils Fields and also the Lions Club field. And I've had a resident inquire about using the tennis courts to provide tennis lessons. And I told him we would discuss that tonight. We can do that under new business. Multiple communications, and that's why Commissioner Boucher is here, about our census. The response rate is not where we need it to be. Right now, it's currently 66.1%. Our 2010, 10 years ago, the rate was 70.2% at this time. So we need to get that up a lot higher. We're the only municipality in Carroll County that doesn't have the high ratings that we had 10 years ago. So we need to get that back up and running. Commissioner Boucher, while he's here, I'm going to let him out of the floor. I think he's talking about the census.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you taking the time to allow me to speak about the census. The census is extremely critical for federal resources allocated to our community. It's based upon population. So I can't emphasize enough how important it is for us to encourage our fellow citizens to respond to the census. What our planning department is offering for New Windsor is to help out, to create the awareness. We have 2 4-foot by 10-foot banners. Right now, there are one's at the airport, one's at the landfill posted, but we're willing to take those down and relocate them here to the community. We also can have door hangers printed within 2 days. If you guys think you can get some volunteers together and from the planning department get a list of different addresses to have them replied, go around and knock on those doors, kind of like campaigning. If anyone's ever been involved, well, obviously you guys have. You ran for public office. You know how it goes with the door hangers. If we can get the door hangers printed, you guys can distribute those across the community and get the response to go up higher. It's extremely critical. Not only does it affect the resources we get from the federal government, but also we're facing the redistricting coming up, where not only commissioner districts will be redrawn, but also the General Assembly or House of Delegates, the state Senate, and our United States House of Representatives districts. And all of these numbers that we have as individuals will impact every last one of those categories. So if you guys can get together and think about different ways to make this happen, get the banners, please email our planning department attention, Linda Eisenberg, and my staff, her staff will do everything they can to support you and get the banners and the door hangers and the information you need to get your numbers up. And I'd really appreciate it. I'll end with a quote from Secretary Robert McCord from the state, who's in charge of this. He stated, "This is a family portrait that we take every 10 years. We need to show what Maryland looks like, and we need everyone in the picture, and that includes you." So I appreciate your time. I'm very much grateful for the mayor to allow me to step in here and get this in real quick. I was just made aware, I think yesterday, that these numbers were low. So we only have until the end of this month, September 30th, to make this happen. So anything you can do, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Council committees, community.
Hey, Neal.
Green.
Neal, can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
You have 4 people in a waiting room that I think you want to let in, possibly. I think one's at Councilman Palsgrove.
All right, I'm back on the screen here now, so on the computer. It's been a nightmare.
Mayor, for some reason, I was able to let everybody in unless you were doing it, but it looked like it allowed me to do it. So I allowed everybody in the waiting room.
Hey, Gary, when we were waiting for Neal to come back in, it said you were turned over to the host. So that means you were given the host privileges. So that's probably why.
All right. Well, I don't see anybody else in the waiting room. So sorry about that, folks. I thought Neal, it was coming up on everybody's screen. So I think everybody's in.
Neal, you're muted.
I apologize for the delay. I didn't have anything to do with getting booted out. So good old technology. Great when it works. Did everybody hear the commissioner? Okay. All right. We just got to push the census. We really do. We're only at 64%, 66%. Union Bridge is right behind at 64. Mount Airy is up there around 90%. And we're not even at our 2010 levels. And that's big money for us. So either indirectly or directly through grants, or in case of COVID, something that we get financial aid, that will come directly to us. So the more we get, the higher we get money. But I kind of wonder whether or not we need to hit the rental units a little bit more, whether or not they are encouraged to submit the information. I'm not sure where we're lacking, but everybody has been notified, so it's an easy process. All right, back on schedule, hopefully. Community enhancement, Councilman Green.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, and residents. I have a few things tonight. Last night, me and I spoke with Councilwoman Schultz. There were some technical difficulties. The people we were speaking with last night used a different platform. I was able to get in a meeting and pass the information along to Councilwoman Schultz. We were approached by two ladies, Suzette Colvett and Heather Akers, about Pink Carroll Pink. It is a early detection breast cancer awareness program. We actually have forms and flyers for either us municipalities, local businesses can get involved. It's as simple as being a participant. They would like to see donations. They have on staff artists that would come around and paint. I think the biggest mural that they do is a 2-hour mural, which is like $80. That way that they paint it pink inside the windows of stores or businesses and things of that nature to go ahead and get the detection for breast cancer, and the money is used as a donation. So I will have the flyers and forms out to everybody for review, and hopefully with Councilwoman Schultz' help, we can get our local businesses on board, as well as maybe us at Town Hall get on board in some form and fashion. It's not very expensive to do, and it's for the month of October. So me and Councilwoman Schultz will work on that, and also I will send everything out for everyone for review. Second, as we know, as of Friday at 5 p.m., we've now moved to stage 3 in the governor's plan for the pandemic of COVID-19. So please, everyone, look into that and see what is changing or has changed. I know local restaurants, there's not much big change there. I think it's still like 50% capacity. So go ahead and please, everybody, take a look at that at different governmental websites or social media. Also, town banners. Me and Kalina had spoke. We sent over 3 other designs to Shannon Baum. She's off this week on vacation, so next week we'll hopefully have them, and then for the next meeting we'll have them ready for everybody's review. And lastly, because everybody knows that I am such a social media kind of guy, I've noticed a lot lately that we're having issues with people walking on people's property and stealing property in the forms of political signs. It doesn't matter who you vote for November 4th. It is our right to exercise who we would like to support during this election cycle. Therefore, when you walk on somebody's property and steal these signs, it becomes unlawful. As long as you are doing things in a lawful manner, you have a first constitutional protected right to express that. And I would urge anybody in the community to stop doing these unlawful acts against your neighbors. It doesn't help anything, doesn't change people's opinions when it comes to November 4th. In fact, I think it also, most people by now know who they're going to vote for. So bottom line is, stop committing these unlawful acts against your neighbors. It's not what we do here in New Windsor. We're a very tight-knit community, and these type of childish acts should stop immediately. It's just getting to be absurd. It's happening multiple times a week. So let's try to stop that and bring everybody together as a community. So that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, sir. And that's kind of a good segue into, not being funny, but Councilman Huffman with his public works report can relate to having a sign stolen. He blamed Councilman Neal for doing it, but I don't think he did.
Well, it was in his trunk, so I don't know. Anyway, good evening, everyone. As for the Public Works report tonight, as you know, August was a very rainy month, and if you look outside, it looks like September starting not just that way. So the Public Works crew did a lot of mowing. We have a lot of property in town. They spent a good amount of time this month doing mowing, keeping the place looking good. So we appreciate that. As we talked about a little before the meeting kicked off, the two banners thanking the healthcare workers. They are the ones that put up those banners. I think they look great. It's a nice addition to the town. Public Works have helped mark the roads and participated in some discussions about some upcoming paving projects that we're doing. So if you see some white lines around, you'll know we have some projects that we're discussing and we'll be getting kicked off. One of our mowers, they have replaced the deck on it, and so that's back up and running. That's good to have that in service. For those of you that are maybe tired of the summer, let you know that they've been preparing the leaf machine for the fall. So we'll be moving into the fall here shortly, and we'll be kicking off the leaf pickup a little later on in a few weeks. They have also been working on the details for the upcoming bulk trash pickup. So they're working on the COVID-19 restrictions and guidelines that we'll be putting in place as we kick this off. There'll be more on the website as we get closer to that date. Lastly, the Planning Commission did not meet in the month of August. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Huffman. Water and Sewer, Councilman Palsgrove.
Good evening, everyone. I'll highlight two items that were shared. Director of Public Works, Wayne Myers, has been doing a good job of providing a report on the activities that they get involved in throughout the month. But I'll highlight two of the many items that he shared in the report. One is that they're exploring two possibilities or two options of dealing with the disposable wipes or other products that are entering our sewer system that are causing problems. One of them would be, I think we discussed it earlier, is to install grinder pumps. That's a fairly expensive option. Another option that Wayne is looking at is something called eradicators, which are a device that allows these materials to actually pass through the system without clogging the pumps. So he'll be providing us with additional information on that, and we'll get something going to deal with that. And the other item that I'll share is that the sludge tank repairs are in progress. I don't know if Wayne might want to elaborate on that at some point or not, but those are the two items from the report that I wish to share. But they're busy with quite a few other things as well.
Thank you, sir. Public Safety, Councilman Smith.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to jump on the bandwagon about the theft of the political signs. Another fact that I'd like to let people know is not only is it unlawful, it is highly, highly un-American. You pride yourself on being an American, if you pride yourself on the rights that we have as American citizens, if you pride yourself on being proud of the military men and women that fought for our freedoms, then you will respect the idea that we do have free elections. And that goes for both sides. To take a political sign off of somebody's lawn, it's easy to make laws. That's a little bit deeper than that. That truly is un-American. Allow the process to work. It will work. May not seem like it at times, but I don't know any other country that has it any better than we do. It's flawed. It has its problems, but it's still the greatest system in the world. And be proud of who you are, who we are, and just don't do that. It's just simply not right. Along with that, as we start seeing the stage 3 of our openings, that's going to mean a couple things. It's going to mean more traffic. people maybe who haven't been used to driving in a while. It's going to be more people out in public, and that can lead to a whole host of problems. Number one, traffic, obviously, and more traffic can cause more accidents. So watch your speed, watch for other people being on the road that maybe haven't been on the road for a while. It's also going to increase the level of people in public spaces, and that can cause sometimes some intolerance. Be tolerant, be respectful of the people around you, and make sure that we don't create more problems for our law enforcement community and for our court systems. They're already bogged down enough. We have seen some increased thefts around the area, and that could be for many reasons. Some of them socio-economic reasons, and some just, I guess, people are bored and they got nothing better to do, and that's what they decide to do. So we see that, and we've also seen an uptick, and I touched on this a couple weeks ago. We've seen a real big uptick in fraud that's being committed over the phone, gathering people's social security numbers, gathering people's personal information over the phone. So be very aware of that, and don't fall for it. If you do get one of those phone calls, the big one now is they're sending around something saying that you have an Amazon package that has gone unclaimed. That's a big one. Report those to the sheriff's department or to the state police. They track those things and try to work on them to eliminate them. We've seen an uptick on that. Several weeks ago and into last week also, there started to see another rise in heroin overdoses. There was a belief at one time, there was some word that was put out on the street that there was a bad batch. I mean, it's all bad, but I guess there's a bad batch, and what I guess that means is it's been cut probably with fentanyl or something that's even more deadly. So even in lower amounts, it's become very deadly and dangerous. So again, Maryland has a law on the books that if somebody is overdosing, that you can call and you won't face criminal prosecution because it's more important to save a life. So if you see something like that, be aware of it. Call the authorities and save a life. If you have friends, family members that are suffering through addiction, turn to some of the county agencies and get some help. It still continues to be a major problem. Because of COVID, we've heard less about it, but it is a major problem. Continues to be a problem in Carroll County, and with that bad batch going around, or supposedly bad batch going around, that leads to further problems. Other than that, everybody have a very safe Labor Day weekend, and the town is here for you. If you need anything, give any one of us a call, and we'll be glad to get back to you and help you out the best we can. Stay safe, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Economic Development, Councilman Schultz.
Evening, everyone. Just to tag on to what Councilman Green and Councilman Smith said, the phase 3 will begin at 5 p.m. this Friday. And I don't think that will mean huge changes for any of our local businesses, but perhaps a couple of the restaurants will decide to expand their seating. But regardless, and I'm sure it will probably help Seasons at Magnolia Manor, which is a venue. But regardless, let's keep supporting the businesses because they're gonna need it to stay viable in town. On a related note, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Carroll County Arts Council fundraiser Festival of Wreaths. This year, because of COVID and because of limited indoor space, they're going to be reaching out throughout the county and trying to display wreaths on businesses all around the county. So I'm going to be contacting some of our local businesses to see if they want to participate. If anybody's interested in getting more information about that, contact me. My contact information is on the town website. I also sit on the board for the Human Services Program of Carroll County, which is our community action agency, and they are planning for shelter this winter, as they always do. And there's going to be a little bit of a problem with that because of the pandemic. They can't put as many people in the same space, so they're trying to find another space. So if anybody's aware of a large space that's available in the county. It has to be ADA accessible. Please get in touch with me or get in touch with Scott Yard, who's the director at HSP. Just kind of tagging on to some of the social media commentary tonight. We just a reminder, folks, take a look at the policy. The town is in the process of rewriting it, but seems to be an uptick in things on the page that the mayor or I are having to delete because they're inappropriate. Political things are not appropriate. For instance, it's a town page, it's a government page. We don't post political opinions on our page. And if we see those kind of things, we're going to take them off. And on another note, Councilman Smith, I know you saw my post, so I hope you won't mind me bringing this up, but we had a situation in town where the door at the post office got broken. Somebody saw it. The person posted it on Facebook. If you see something, say something, is what Deputy Calusi would say, and I think he'd probably second that when he has his turn. The town Facebook page isn't where we post things that could be potentially needing police attention. That's for the police to decide whether or not they need to respond to something. The sheriff's office has a non-emergency number that can be called. So if you see something, say something, contact the police. Don't put it on the town Facebook page. We're not all looking at it all the time. We can't, in this particular case, somebody saw it and texted it to Deputy Calusi, and he texted it to me, and blah blah blah. But if it had been something really serious, that's a lot of time lost when the police could have been contacted immediately. So just keep that in mind, folks. And just kind of going back to the census, Mayor Roop, I think maybe the door hangers would be a great idea. I'd be willing to volunteer to help put some of those out. So yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Community deputy, see if I can share this now. There we are.
Good evening, everybody. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office, between the dates of August 1st, 2020 to August 31st, 2020, responded to 55 calls for service within the town limits of Out of those 55 calls, for service, only 11 required reports, which were the following. August 6, 2020, at approximately 5:42 p.m., deputies responded to the 400 block of High Street in reference to a disorderly subject. Investigation revealed that a customer at the location became disorderly over being asked to wear a face mask. During the incident, the customer caused damage to items within the store and assaulted the clerk. Charges were filed on the customer and case was closed by arrest. On August 7th, at approximately 8:55 p.m., deputies, while on routine patrol, observed a subject walking in the center of the railroad tracks within the 100 block of Main Street. Contact was made with the subject, who was later charged with trespassing on posted property. Case was closed by arrest. On August 8th, 2020, at approximately 11:08 p.m., deputies responded to the 2800 block of New Windsor Road in reference to a property damage accident. Investigation revealed that a customer at the location backed into a gas pump, and upon contact with the driver, the deputy detected an odor of alcohol emanating from the driver. The driver then completed the standardized field sobriety test, which the driver failed. The driver was arrested for suspicion of driving under the influence and agreed to provide a breath sample and was transported to the sheriff's office for the test. The driver's breath sample resulted in a reading of 0.13 grams of alcohol per 210 liters of breath. Case was closed by arrest. On August 12th, 2020, at approximately 8:13 p.m., deputies responded to the 2800 block of Graybill Court in reference to an extortion incident. Investigation revealed that the victim paid money to unknown suspects in order for documents not to be posted on social media. Investigation continues on that one. On August 18th, at approximately 3:15 p.m., deputies conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle in the 200 block of Maple Avenue for a traffic violation. Deputies had suspicion of suspected drug use. At the time, a canine was requested to scan the vehicle. The scan resulted in a no alert, and the driver was released on the appropriate paperwork and case was closed. On August 23rd, at approximately 10:08 p.m., deputies responded to the 200 block of Main Street in reference to a theft. Investigation revealed that a known suspect stole items from the victim's parked vehicle. Case remains open. On August 28th, at approximately 9:04 a.m., deputies, while conducting traffic enforcement on Maryland 31 near Tibbetts Lane, observed a traffic violation. A traffic stop was conducted, and upon contact with the driver, an odor of marijuana was detected. Probable cause search of the vehicle. Probable cause search was completed and resulted in 4.6 grams of marijuana was located and seized. Driver was released on the appropriate paperwork and case was closed. On August 28th, approximately 12:07 p.m., deputies responded to the 200 block of Maple Avenue in reference to a malicious destruction of property. Investigation revealed that a suspect the night prior broke the door at the location, however, attempted to fix it with negative results. The suspect was later identified and they advised that they accidentally broke the door and would pay for the damages. Case was closed, or the incident was closed by prosecution. On August 28th at approximately 12:30 p.m., deputies stationary in the 2800 block of New Windsor Road served the subject place a traffic cone belonging to the business within their vehicle's trunk and drove away. The deputy stopped the vehicle and retrieved the traffic cone and returned it to the business at the request of the business. Case was closed by lack of prosecution. On August 29th at approximately 7:24 a.m., deputies responded to the 300 block of Church Street in reference to a theft. Investigation revealed that unknown suspects removed political signs from front yards all along Church Street. Case remains open. On August 31st, 2020, at approximately 6:30 a.m., deputies responded to the skate park located on Meadow Lane in reference to a malicious destruction of property. Investigation revealed that unknown parties caused damage to the field at the location after doing donuts with their vehicle. Case was suspended. Other than that, that's all I have for tonight. I will say that I will address the concern with what Councilman Schultz said. If you see something, don't post it on Facebook, call the police, and, report it, because it does cause issues and lots of times. So if you see something, say something. And the other thing is the road tracks is really pushing the issue that they do not want anybody on the railroad tracks. Do not post or do not trespass on the railroad tracks or you will be charged. In July, they had an incident up in Westminster where a subject actually was hit by the train. So with that, that's why they're really pushing the issue. So stay off the tracks. And pretty much what they say is from the center, they own 35 feet on either direction of the tracks. So if you're caught in that, you will be charged because it is clearly posted. Other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Thanks, sir. West Carroll Rec Council. Fire Chief.
Good evening. Calls for the month of August. 17 fire calls, 56 EMS calls. Year to date, 170 fire and 380 EMS. I'm proud to announce the department has been awarded a Federal Emergency Management Assistance to Firefighters grant for over $10,000 to improve overall operations and safety for the department. We were notified Friday, August 14th by FEMA of the grant, which is actually for $10,215.30 to help improve overall operations and safety. The funds were awarded from this grant will go towards purchasing 13 new nozzles and 2 integrated thermal imaging face masks. We're very appreciative of this grant, especially in these trying times with the current pandemic limiting fundraising opportunities. The grant will make sure we have the most modern nozzles available, as some of our current nozzles are over 15 years old. In addition, updated equipment, the grant will allow us to increase our safety on the fire ground with the purchase of 2 integrated thermal imaging face masks. We would like to thank Lieutenant Brad Crimer and Grants Committee Chairman Roop for their hard work and helping the department receive this much needed funding. In addition, want to make sure everybody's aware that on Saturday, September 19th, we're having drive-through steamed crabs from 1 to 4. This is like our all-you-can-eat events featuring crabs from Harris's Seafood. Cost is $40 a ticket for a dozen steamed crabs. You need to purchase the tickets prior to the event, calling 410-775-7402 or 443-277-0554. We look forward to seeing you all there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Byron. I think the deadline for that is September 14th. That sound right? I think
I
think
can't
that's
say
what's
for
on the
sure.
sign.
I believe, yes.
Yeah.
Check the website for further information.
All right. And also, thanks for putting my name in there for the grant. I gotta be honest though, Brad Crimer did probably 90% of the justification of the equipment, of the nozzles and getting all that information and putting all the statistics together. And I'm sure, Byron, you were helpful getting numbers and statistics for the last 4 or 5 years.
You've had enough experience at it though that you gave Brad the guidance that he needed to get through this. So we appreciate that.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for your report. Town manager.
Okay. Have some updates here on some things. The Blue Ridge Pump Station upgrade. Carroll Land Services Incorporated will be performing a topographic survey for GMB in the next couple of days or early next week. We provided GMB and Carroll Land Services with Director Myers and the town manager's contact information to coordinate access to the station. The town road paving request for proposals. Councilman Huffman mentioned that Director Myers has helped out on that. He's been a big help with that, actually. I'd like to thank him for his help. The request for proposals was issued Thursday, August 20th, a day earlier than we planned. Town manager sent notifications to 12 contractors from the Carroll County Department of Public Works pre-qualification listing. And then the contractors could either request an email copy of the RFP or go to MML Market, Maryland Municipal Marketplace, and or email Marketplace to get to download that RFP as well. Mandatory pre-bid and walkthrough was held Friday, August 28th, and we had 10 contractors in attendance there, so that was a good turnout. We did revisions to 7 pages of the RFP, pre-bid meeting minutes, and questions and answers, along with the AMAC report for Mill Drive and Spore Line Drive. We sent those out on Monday, August 31st to all the contractors who attended the pre-bid. The cutoff for questions is Tuesday, September 8th at 3 p.m. Bids are due Friday, September 11th at 10 a.m., at which time there will be a formal bid opening. Side note, we did get approval from Danny and Jackie Sugars to repave the parking lot for their property at 132 Church Street, which is part of the memorandum of understanding between Sugars and the town when 209 High Street was purchased. The parking lot for 132 Church, which is directly behind Town Hall, cannot be paid for with highway user funds, which will be used to fund the paving of the roads. The parking lot will be paid for from the general fund capital budget. Let me see here. Moving on. Hiring of a full-time third full-time public works position. Effective August 17th, 2020, Dave Valentine resigned from his position with Public Works Department. Dave was a part-time employee who was with the town for just short of 7 years, since October of 2013. Dave's resignation was unforeseen and came as a surprise to staff. However, I would like to thank Dave for his years of service and wish him an enjoyable and healthy retirement. Dave's resignation has caused us to push up the hiring of the third full-time Public Works employee, which was approved as part of the adopted FY21 budget. So Director Myers and Town Manager will be working on updating the job description for the full-time maintenance worker position and moving forward with the process of hiring for that position. Managed IT service request for proposals. We are close to making a decision and awarding a contract for that. We've emailed reference questions to all the references provided by the vendors, and we received about 75% of those so far. So we're going to be making a decision on that in probably in the next 2 weeks, I'm thinking at the most. The 2020 census, again, a reminder, I want to thank Commissioner Boucher for stopping into town hall and speaking on behalf of that. I'll try not to repeat some of the stuff he had said, because I had a lot of that same things in my report. So basically, New Windsor is the only municipality in Carroll County that has not surpassed the response rate from the 2010 census. In 2010, the response rate was 70.2%, and the 2020 rate so far is 66.1%, which is a difference of 4.1%. So if my math is correct based on population, it would only take 67 residents to complete the census and surpass the 2010 response rate. The county has offered assistance, as Commissioner Boucher referred to. They can provide the 11-inch by 17-inch posters. They do have the two 10-foot by 4-foot banners and can print the door hangers. Just want to expand on a couple of those things. The posters can be displayed at Town Hall, obviously, and we will check with Uncle Mattie's, 7-Eleven, and possibly like the liquor store about displaying at their businesses. New Windsor Post Office is not an option to display the posters because that is against post office policy. If anyone has any other ideas about possible locations for businesses or locations, let me know. In terms of the banners, the logical location for the banners to maximize the exposure would be across High and Main Street, which are state roads. Permission would be needed from State Highway Administration in addition to approved locations that would allow perpendicular display of banners in proper height and clearance for the truck traffic and things like that. That process may take more time than we have.
I don't think they would even allow it.
I don't know. I guess it's still an option to put them on town roads, but like I said, the most effective location would be across those two streets. So I just wanted to put that out there. As far as the door hangers, Commissioner Boucher was asking for volunteers, and I guess I'll do the same thing. The town staff does not have the manpower or time to distribute door to door. The county reports the same problem in communications, email communications with the planning department. They have no manpower to canvass the community to distribute the door hangers. So therefore, if the mayor and council have any ideas, I know Councilman Schultz offered to volunteer, let me know, and we can certainly put in the request to get the hangers printed. So in summary there, I encourage and challenge New Windsor residents to take 5 minutes to complete it. Literally takes 5 minutes of time. It's not hard to do. It's very easy. Consider your civic duty and make it happen. See if we can't surpass our 2010 numbers. Lastly, in my report, I believe is this was touched on earlier, and this will be finalized in coming weeks. The fall bulk trash reminder that we're still scheduled at this time for that. The date has been moved up a week to Saturday, October 24th. And I'll be working with Director Myers to finalize the changes and procedures to make it safe and with the current COVID-19 pandemic. One thing that the mayor touched on was the Reapers Baseball Club and use of the Sideville fields. The only thing I'll add to that is, and I'm working with those folks through emails, is that in reading through the lease, we do have to coordinate and communicate with Lehigh as to any kind of improvement. So I requested specifically what the club was planning on doing. So then I shared that with my contacts at Lehigh, and what we're going to do, they basically gave verbal approval. And then when I get back in next week, I'll send them basically a letter summarizing it that I'll sign on behalf of the town, and then have somebody on behalf of Lehigh sign it for everyone's record, so that everything's clear to do that. I've also reached out to the county resource planning about the issues, concerns with the banks of, I believe it's Dickerson Run, eroding down there, especially affecting the one smaller field fence line. So I'm going to meet with Chris Hine and another staff member next week and try to get some information, hopefully get some direction, and or maybe the county can do some anchoring or enforcement of those stream banks to keep it from further eroding. So just wanted to expand a little bit on Reapers Baseball Club. I think it's a good thing. They'll do a lot of maintenance. They seem like a very organized group, several different age groups of teams. They have big plans for baseball in general, and bringing tournaments in and things like that. So I think it can be a very positive thing. I just want to make sure that we're addressing and meeting all the lease requirements that we have with Lehigh. So that's all I have for my report.
Thank you, sir. And just to touch a little bit more on the baseball, having someone down at Sybils Fields on a regular basis, they'll be probably playing from early spring to late fall. So, and actually Paul was the one that called me Sunday about the damage that had been done in the parking area with the donuts. So then I contacted Deputy Calusi. So having someone down there, I think, is going to be extremely helpful. Plus, they're going to be doing a lot of the maintenance for us, taking that load off a little bit for us. If you know of anyone, any company that has any kind of equipment that could sift dirt, they can get dirt free for the infield, but right now what they have in there is full of stones. I contacted my contacts at Lehigh, and they don't have the equipment at Lehigh, but they have vendors that they're going to contact. So, you know, I think this is a win-win situation for us. As Gary said, they're looking to have a lot of tournaments here, which will help our local businesses, restaurants, gas station, whatever. So it's bringing people back to New Windsor, which is one of my goals. So thank you very much, Gary.
Mayor, I have a question. Yes. Going back to the census thing, the response statistic numbers, is that just for residents within the town limits of New Windsor, or is it the New Windsor zip code, or what area does that cover? Do we know?
To my knowledge, just the town, not the zip code.
I believe it's the town limits, from my knowledge as well.
But we can confirm that.
Helps us know who to target then. Thank you.
But they can't, the folks that walk around, I think, are privy to the information of who has not filled out. That is not public information that we can get, that we could go knock on doors or make phone calls. But they have been going door to door around town. So I don't know what the response has been, and hasn't moved a whole lot, but we definitely need to get those numbers up.
Gary?
Yes.
The baseball club, are they going to take over the responsibility of mowing the fields, or is that still going to remain with the town?
They will take over the mowing inside the fences and the dugouts and that kind of thing. Outside of the fences will still be Public Works.
Okay, very good. And also, are we going to have any issues? Has West Carroll Rec Council been using either of those area fields that in the last couple of years?
If I may, I made it very clear, and just not to Paul, but to other outside organizations. The town, in my opinion, has #1 priority. If we want to have an event on those fields for whatever reason,
we have first priority. We own them. Other than the sidewalls, we lease them. I put it in the same category. Then it's the rec council, and then outside organizations. So they are aware of that. They know they are not exclusive to those fields. Paul's okay with all that, but we are not also going to let them do all the work and then say, hey, you can't use them. So it's a great partnership, and I think it'll just grow. But I appreciate your concerns, but the rec council, and they know that the rec council, and I even reached out to my cousin. He unfortunately doesn't really have anything to do with it anymore, but it still comes down to all organizations giving Gary a schedule of the use of the field, and then he can decide who has use of the field. But really the rec council, I would say, probably has a very short season compared to these other teams. Unfortunately, it seems like by the time school's out, the season's over. So, but there's opportunity for shared use of those fields, and everybody is always aware of that.
So two things I'll add, Dave. I have not had any recent requests, and I mean recent in probably the last year and a half at least, from the rec council for use of any of the fields. I had some requests from Springdale on Lions Club field, and then also another club for that. But that, again, that was just coordination through the scheduling and sending me the schedules, and I just put together a monthly schedule, and it's basically first come, first served based on the priorities that the mayor outlined. Second thing is this same club, Reapers Baseball Club. If you want an example of how they take care of a field, look at the furthest field as you head outside of town on 75. It's the farthest field that's part of Springdale Prep field. They've taken over and fixed that field up, and it looks really, really good. So they do excellent work and really care about baseball. So.
Yeah, so no issues for me with that. I was just thinking about the coordination efforts. I'm happy to see them. And as a matter of fact, I saw them out there working on the fields last weekend. So I know they do a nice job. Thank you.
And may I add one more thing on the baseball subject since we're here? Since
Sure.
Most people know, or some know, that I was very much involved with travel softball for 6 years. So I love travel sports. I think it's very competitive. It's great for kids. When I was involved with the Monarchs program, what we used to do, and this is something maybe Reapers can do and what correlation with West Carroll, is every year Carroll County Parks and Recs allows you to apply for field dirt, and it's free of charge and delivered to site, and then you're responsible for then maintaining the field and putting it on the field. So that's something maybe the Reapers can speak with West Carroll and see where they are in the cycle. I know it rotates. I think in the last few years it was, Tawny Town got it twice and then somebody else got it once. So, I mean, it rotates, but it's something they can look into, because if they haven't applied for it in a few years, then they would be top priority to get it at the West Carroll.
I believe you and Dave probably both are aware, but is that the self-help funding?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. We can check into that. Thanks, sir. Good idea. All right. Donna, Treasurer's report.
Good evening, everyone. General fund, our revenues, we've got our second local income tax payment, and it was up to $35,910.33. That puts us in a more consistent area with what we usually get for August, so that's good news. Highway user, still slow in coming in. I'm still waiting for the final amount for that. The audit has been pushed back to September 14th because one of the team members for ZA is on vacation the week of the 7th. And at the last meeting, Mayor Roop, you asked if the state was going to allow any adjustments for the filing of the FR, and they are not. It's still the 1st of November.
Okay.
Real property, we have 4 for sale at Snyder Summit, and 4 at the Reserve, and 5 others. And our water sewer billing clerk, Kalina, asked me to share the following. She's still continuing to work with those residents that need special arrangements to pay their water sewer bill during the COVID pandemic. However, the responsibility does lie with the residents to contact the town. Communication is vital. Governor Hogan has issued an extension on the executive order for utility shutoffs, stating that for those who are at risk of termination, notices will not be sent to customers until at least October 1st, and then a 45-day notice will be provided, and that extends the termination service to November 15th. She also wanted me to share that the next billing will be out the first week of October, and in that billing, you will see the new rates that went into effect as of July the 1st. The rates are there and also available on a town website.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Lehigh update, old business, truck here, got it here somewhere, briefing paper, purchase of public works truck. Garrett?
Yeah, okay. So we've discussed this in the past and most recently at the July 1st Town Council meeting. So Director Public Works Wayne Myers developed the specifications for the new truck based on needs and best interest of Public Works Department and the town. Director Myers requested pricing from 4 dealers based on the specifications for the truck. Director Myers left the manufacturing of the V-plow, the salt spreader, and the specs for the safety lights and strobes up to the dealers. We received pricing from 3 dealers as follows. You can see there, Century Ford of Mount Airy was $53,366. Apple Ford of Columbia was $48,665. And Hagerstown Ford was $49,306. Kraus Ford in Tawnytown could not provide a price in a timely manner. The 2021 pricing was not available by the bid close date of August 31st. Apple Ford is on the current state contract for vehicle purchases, and they are the lowest bidder, as you can see. It came down to a choice between Apple Ford of Columbia and Hagerstown Ford. The difference between those two is $641, which is pretty competitive, pretty minimal. And based on Director Myers' research and expertise, his recommendation is Hagerstown Ford for the following reasons. Wayne put a lot of effort into this and contacting everybody and talking specifically and directly with the dealers. The dealership, this is Hagerstown Ford, is a local and on the smaller side compared to Apple Ford, and still is able to provide us with competitive pricing. Public Works likes the advanced features of the snow removal equipment. Both the salt spreader and the plow are the same brand, which is Western brand. The expected delivery date is 30 days prior or 30 days before the projected delivery date for Apple Ford. Of course, with COVID restrictions, it's subject to change with anybody. And then Hagerstown Ford's proposal was very detailed and informative. Although the specs that Wayne provided were the same, he feels that they put a lot of extra time and effort into explaining the various packages and features. All the vehicles were priced as F-250, which is 3/4 ton gas engines, XL, STX, and FX4 package, upgraded alternator, power group package, emergency light systems, bed liner, skid plates, V-plow, and salt box, among other specifications. The truck has been budgeted for several years at $60,000 and will be paid for from the general fund capital budget at the direction and in concurrence with Town Treasurer Donna Albin. So my action or requested action there is that the mayor and council approve the purchase of a 2021 Ford F-250 crew cab, V plow and Western salt box, and then other specifications as prepared and developed by Director Myers. The purchase would be from Hagerstown Ford for $49,306. I fully support Director Myers' recommendation and ask the council to do the same. Any questions?
What is the expected delivery time of the truck?
They were December, the end of December, mid to the end of December, January, where the other folks were January to February.
So Gary, since the prices are very, very close between the two, and it seems like maybe the snow removal equipment is one of the items that's helped Wayne make his decision. Is that Western brand? Are we familiar with that? And that's been a good brand and better than what the Apple Ford, the two different brands they were going to use?
If Wayne's on, if he wants to chime in, I'll try to. I know we have not used Western with the town. We've had Salt Dog, I believe is the current salt box we have, and I think we have used Myers plows and Boss plows in the past, I believe. Wayne, go ahead.
So Dave, to answer your question, we've never had a Western plow or salt spreader before, but we have had buyers, which is, like Gary said, the off brand. They're really called Salt Dog. And anyway, we've also had Boss plows in the past. And so we've had problems with both. And I did a lot of research on, after we got the price quotes. Like I said, I left that up to the dealership. And I did a lot of research on everything. And I found that the Western plow has a lot of good ratings and everything. And a lot of people really like them. So it is a change for us, but I feel that it's going to be a good change.
Well, thank you, Wayne. And Gary.
Any other questions about the truck? Do I hear a motion to approve the purchase of the truck?
I'll make that motion to approve the purchase of the truck from Hagerstown as recommended by Town Manager and Public Works Director.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Councilman Huffman, seconded by Councilman Green, to approve the purchase of a 2021 Ford F-250 crew cab with Western V plow, all the accessories, recommended by Public Works Wayne Myers from Hagerstown Ford for $49,306. Any questions or comments? All those.
Real quick, I just want to make a quick comment. So just for anybody who wants to know, I always brag about how great our town is at snow removal, and I think having newer equipment, specifically, if everybody knows, I live on the railroad tracks, and a business right across the street, he actually sells Salt Dogs and Westerns plows, and the Western plow is one of the ones that go quite often. So I just kind of wanted to put it out there that we do a great job during snow removal, and our team to have the best available to them, I think is very, very important. So,
yep.
I appreciate that, Terry.
All those in favor that are pictured, raise your hand. Councilman Smith.
Aye, in favor.
All right. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, real quick before we move on, we will do a formal purchase order and a request note, basically request notice to purchase will be sent out based on that approval. So we'll
very good
with that.
Thank you. Any other old business? New business, enterprise fund capital project list. A lot to think about here.
You guys wanted a list. So there's a spreadsheet that was emailed to mayor, council, and staff. It's an extensive, quite an extensive list of projects. Public Director Myers and Town Manager met and discussed at length, and will work to continue to work and fine tune this list. This is this was a good thing for us to do, and just to kind of get it all laid out there and brainstorm things, both currently, short term, long term. There are some projects that we need to do some research on, further research on, and check on cost estimates. And again, it's going to be it's a work in progress. We're going to continue to evaluate, look at things. Things will come up, things will change. Please note the list does not include several other smaller projects that Public Works has already done and is currently doing. For example, I won't go into a lot of details because they do a lot of things on their own, but two things I wanted to mention were that Director Myers has a list of smaller maintenance projects for each of the water and sewer facilities, and recently brought the Hillside Well #1 back online. So that's just two examples of things that aren't even on this list, and there are others. The enterprise capital project list is broken down into 3 categories and includes ongoing short-term, long-term projects. At this time, there are 28 projects on this list. The estimated costs shown are from actual estimates for some projects, educated estimates based on research and experience, and there's just some that are guesstimated costs at this point. But there are totals shown for each section, and again, these are the best prices and costs we have at this time. Looking at the bottom 2 totals there, you see that there are 3 projects that make up the large majority of that cost of almost $10 million, which is basically 92.5%. And those 3 projects are the streetscape and the couple projects, I think it's 3 or 4 at the top, the mainspring water line, and that would be from the railroad tracks out to mainspring. It's 12,000 linear feet of pipe. And I used in the numbers I have in there, you see 3 to 5 million. I use 5 million as a worst case. We have to look at, that's one project that we have to look at and compare cost in terms of remove and replace. And now today there's actually technology out there that you can line water lines. So we can certainly look into those, but that's more of a long-term out there type project, but wanted to get it on the radar. It's been out there for years. That's the line that's part of the line that's 112 years old and counting. And then the last one would be, the last of those 3 large projects would be the wastewater treatment plant ENR upgrade, should we decide to move forward with that after the PER study. So, in fact, that PER study is one that I need to add because that's ongoing right now. So that was basically approved to move forward with that part of it. That's all I have in terms of description. If you have any questions about any of the particular projects, I'd be more than happy to try to answer those at this time. And like I said, it's a work in progress. We'll continue to look at it, evaluate it, get pricing, look at different technologies and things like that.
Gary, thank you for the list. I just have one question just out of curiosity, and this is probably one of the smallest ones on your list.
Sure.
Curious is about what is manhole thermal ring protection?
Which number is that, please?
It's the one
That out at the reserve.
Which number? I'm sorry.
It's way down at the bottom.
Oh, thermal ring protection.
28.
Yeah, that's basically something that the Public Works can do. You can buy these. They're basically rubberized rings that they can put down in heat with. heat up, and it basically forms where you get manholes that have around them where the pavement's recessed or sunken down a little bit, causes problems with plows and things like that. This basically just kind of ramps up things around. It's a hard thermoplastic rubber that gets melted kind of into place and mounds that up, makes that transition with the plow a lot easier.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Gary, I have a quick question as well.
Sure.
Number 9 is the 201 Main Street leak repair. What would you classify that as priority level? I see you put here fall before freezing temps, and we're in September, getting ready to round up to October.
Yeah.
By the time we get
High
back
priority.
Yeah, I think Wayne and I were talking about that actually today. I'm going on vacation the end of September. He's going on the beginning of November. So we were talking with that today. He's going to reach out to Mid-Atlantic Utilities and start lining that up. We're looking at probably right now. We're probably looking around the middle of October to do that.
Okay, I just wanted to check.
Yeah,
because I figured it was high priority when it's seen fall. So
yeah, we're right on the doorstep of fall. So I would say that's up there.
And to kind of tag along on this list that Gary has, and thank you for doing all that. That's never going to go away, unfortunately, but I am in the process of getting a facilitator for a working retreat. I talked to the director of the MDE water revolving loan department, and talked to him at length last week. And then I've also tried to track down Jag Cuman. I don't know if anybody remembers that name or not, but he had that position for years, and he was extremely helpful to us, especially when we got the supplemental grants. And he knows, I believe, our financial records as well as anybody on the state level. And he's very familiar with infrastructure projects. He's now working like 2 days with EPA. So I left a message last week, and I don't know what 2 days he works, but he might be on vacation as well. But I'm going to try to see whether or not he wouldn't be the facilitator, or maybe at least give us some guidance going forward. But we tried this about 2 years ago. We couldn't get a date that suited everybody. That's just not going to happen again. I will set a date, and hopefully everybody can make it. So unless we have only one council member there, we will try to make that a high priority, because as you see, we have $10 million in projects. And before we do a lot of these projects, we have to make sure that we are comfortable going forward, so that we protect our revenue sources and our reserves, like I said, going forward. So trying to get that done before the end of the year, just tracking everybody down. So it'll probably be a Saturday morning. I'm thinking like 8 to 12, maybe a working lunch into 1 or 2 o'clock at the latest. So stay tuned.
Real quick question before we move on. So it's what I'm looking at here, and Gary, please clarify for me. It looks to be close to over 20 million in projects, correct?
No, it's what those two, the total is the water and sewer total is the 10,788.
Gotcha.
Three of those projects make up almost 10 of that. So the total is the enterprise fund water and sewer total.
Okay. Because theoretically, if we wanted to do this over a 10-year span, it would be just a little over $1 million per year. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
That's all.
And like I said, I used the higher, the $5 million number in that mainspring water line replacement from the tracks from your house out to the well. And I think that's a worst case. I mean, even if you do if you divide 5 million by 12,000 feet, that's $417 a linear foot. That's pretty high, even with a remove and replace. Now you have a lot of permitting and things like that, but we really want to look into, I was talking again with Wayne about this, we want to look into that option of lining, because it's high tech, it's really neat technology and it's expensive, but I don't think it's going to be in that range, but we have to look into that. So.
And when Gary and I talked about lining as an option, he had just, he mentioned that the pipe looked pretty good shape for being 113 years old, 114 years old.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. When we did the repairs out at Mainspring Well just last week, we cut into that and did some reconnection, and for a pipe that's 112 years old, it looked pretty surprisingly in good condition. So I don't know if anybody mentioned it earlier, but those repairs that Mid-Atlantic did out there, they really helped things out there in terms of two things in particular. Our pump time decreased probably it went from probably 6 or 8 hours to fill to about 2 to 3 hours time. So that decreased tremendously, and the pressure increased almost doubled. It went from about 150 psi up to 275, 300, because we took the gap out, the vacuum out where the water was being recycled back into the well. So that work was money well spent and improved things out there significantly. But that pipe was in very good shape.
Right. And also, Terry, this was before your time when we lined the sewer line on High Street and Main Street for streetscape. But council, correct me if I'm wrong, I think originally we were estimating about $1 million for replacement of the sewer line, and the lining came in around 220, give or take, $225,000. So that's a huge savings. And if we can do that with the water line, you know, I'm sure it's leaking multiple places, and that would definitely improve our system quite a bit and save us a lot of money. It's just a major project that we're going to have to do sooner or later.
Yeah, just to point out though and clarify, you'll see project 26 is sewer lining. That's basically in Old Town. The sewer lining is a lot cheaper of a process than the water lining. I know from my experience working with the county that and Pleasance Construction does a lot of that out of Frederick. There's a couple firms that do the sewer lining. It's different firms that I believe that do the water lining, and it's a different process. But I'm using $55 right now linear foot for sewer lining, and that is very much a cost savings versus remove and replace, because you're dealing with, you know, traffic control, shutting roads down, tearing things out. Whereas when you line sewer, they bring in 2 trucks, they sit manhole to manhole and do a section of pipe at one time. It's really a cool process if you ever get to see it. But it's really the way to go for sewer rehab, as long as you don't have a capacity issue. Same thing with the water, same principles with the water, but it's a different process, and we'll look into those costs.
Gary, what is that pipe for Mainspring? What is that pipe made out of?
It's cast iron.
A spun, right? It's spun. I mean, that's how they
yeah,
make
it's I don't know how they made cast back then, but it's obviously it was made differently back then, but it's cast. I don't even think ductile was an option back then.
Jack always said it was spun so that one side might be a 1/2 inch thick and the other might be 3/8. It wasn't universal thickness.
Yeah,
so I don't know how that was done, but I'm pretty sure Jack always said it was spun.
That sounds right. And you got to think about just the technology 112 years ago with what you have today. It's a lot different, I'm sure.
And just with a level to get it into town by gravity.
Yep.
Real quick,
Yes.
sorry, I was going to ask a question about that. We're not going to see any problems. Let's say it's in the future. I mean, I don't know when this project's going to happen, but I know talking with Councilman Palsgrove when we did some tours, we don't have to worry about any of this water line going across private properties that we may have to get right-of-way agreements with, may cost more money and time and things like that in the future. Is that?
We have right-of-ways. However, the right-of-ways are like a team of 12 horses and making a circle. So Michelle is well aware. Yeah, I mean,
it is.
1906, they probably started this process 1904. So it was, a team of 12 horses, I think it was, to make a circle. Now, if you had somebody like Jimmy Saylor, if anybody knows him, he's well trained with horses. His circle would probably be a lot smaller than mine, because I doubt if I would get a real small circle. So I'm not sure what that means as far as feet wise, but Michelle, we've talked about this for 10 years or more, and that would have to be updated. However, I think that might be more in possibly, and I'm not the legal counsel here, of course, but I think that might be more important if we had to go on property and dig up and replace versus lining. We're not really disturbing the ground as much. Yeah, so I'm not sure. That would be a Michelle question, but that we do have right-of-ways. They're up, I'm guessing, Donna, they're up at the bank in the vault.
Terry, also, just Wayne and I were talking about the right-of-ways and having to do this project in the future. So we're at some point we're going to sit down and look at the county GIS and compare the alignment to the properties that it's running through, get a list of the properties, and basically just get out. We want to walk it for one, and get out and talk with the owners and just kind of see what their take is on things currently. And, so we actually want to try to do that, walk it at least in this fall when the leaves get down. But, we want to try to get a feel for how many properties we're talking about, and then be able to either do a letter or reach out to those folks to at least plant the seed that, hey, I'm sure, I would hope most of them know that line's there, but you could have a newer property owner that, I had no idea I got a water line running through my property. I don't know. So we are considering that and looking into that.
Terry, if you want to walk it, wait until we get about an inch of snow, and the first part that will melt will be your path. Okay.
And this last thing I'll say on the subject, and I appreciate everybody letting me speak and ask a lot of questions about it, but I think out of all council members in the last year and a half, I've been very critical about our base fees, not base rates, but base fees. And I firmly believe that I think myself and other residents could justifiably say, hey, look, we have a plan. We want to spend this money X, Y, Z instead of band-aiding things and actually upgrading the infrastructure. We all know the lifeblood of communities is you have to have great infrastructure coming into towns, better efficiency, better quality coming in. Not only that, but just think about the long-term plan of actually having full sidewalks to where people can get around the community. I mean, now people walk in the middle of the streets, they cut down alleys. I mean, it makes it for a more family-oriented style type town when we have those amenities for people. So I think when I look at the long-term plan, like Gary has done for us today, and looking at what we're going to be seeing and hopefully with the summit, that the better outcome for us paying these base rates or base fees on top of this is we can accomplish X, Y, Z in this time frame. And I really appreciate Gary and his team bringing that out to us so we can see that and see where we need to be in the next 10 years. So thank you.
Just to let you know,
I've been doing that since 2009, trying to get these projects done. Any other new business? I have two things. One, about the tennis lessons. We have a man in town, just moved in town, wants to teach tennis lessons for a profit. It would be for him. This was done many, many years ago, back in the mid 70s, late 70s, early 80s, when tennis was huge. And, you know, it was very popular. Right now, pickleball is extremely popular, but because of COVID-19, it sounds like tennis is coming back because it's I guess a COVID-19 friendly sport. So does anybody have any objections to that? I told them they would have to do the scheduling with Gary, and my opinion, they would be limited. He would be limited. I mean, you can't really teach. I don't think tennis is two different courts, but they would be limited to one court. That way, the other court would still be open to the public. Everybody all right with that? And then the other, frame is just about done well, I won't say it's done, but it's ready to go for Jack Cove for the eventual dedication of Town Hall. I don't have the figures in front of me, but it's about $265, I think it was, for the frame. So I think we had already approved that, but if somebody wants to make a motion for that, I'm okay with that too. Or just go ahead and let me do it. And
I'll defer to you, Mr. Mayor.
thank you. We
That
had already
motion.
we had already approved it, so I think everybody, and it's just unfortunate time that we can't open our doors and have a nice dedication for Jack of the building, of the room, meeting room. And I don't want to put it off because it's well deserved. However, I don't want to limit people coming into town hall. So hopefully if we can get to the full phase 3 and we can open our doors and not have a limit, and I'm not sure if that's going to happen anytime soon, but if not, think of ways that we can dedicate. David's on here, so if he has any ideas, I talked to Tommy just the other day that we're getting close, but I don't want to do it halfway. Jack deserves more than that. So just think of ways that we could dedicate the town meeting room if this continues and it looks like it's going to be long term. So, you know, we can always do it on Zoom, but that's not my favorite way of dedicating the room to Jack. So we are moving forward, but these difficult times, challenging times, has kind of hindered us a little bit. And speaking of COVID-19, there is, I think I mentioned earlier, Hampstead is the only town right now that's having open meetings. They are doing the 6-foot distancing. I don't think the meetings have had a big turnout. And I didn't know whether we want to discuss that or just leave the Zoom meetings for now to see if things do get better. Just ideas that you may have. Anybody?
I'll start. My idea would be, I think we look at it about mid-October. I mean, because schools are looking to have a hybrid program by mid-October. Heck, if it's good enough for kids to go to school, I think it's good enough for us to meet in person. So if we see that trend happening where, you know, schools are opening up and kids are going back to school and more businesses are opening up, capacities are getting higher, I believe at certain venues, and we may want to look into that as well. As of right now, I know church venues can have up to 75% capacity. How does that affect local government and at our level? Because there's nothing specifically stating what our capacity level could be. Is it 50% or 75%? I'm not sure. That's something we can look into. But I would say we reevaluate this probably in mid-October.
And, you know, St. Paul, I'm on a task force there that we just met by Zoom last night, and we talked about the 75%. However, we feel we could probably, in capacity, have about 110 to 125, but 110 comfortable people in there. at any given time during normal situation. But even 75%, we probably can't meet the 6-foot distancing. To put, I bet we're probably still about 50 people total. So even though it's 75% by the governor, but for St. Paul, now maybe larger churches a little different, but we probably still can only get 50 people in there with the 6-foot distancing. So it's a little difficult to kind of plan. But we're St. Paul United Methodist Church is trying to go with October 4th church service. So we'll be meeting on I think it's the 22nd to make final decisions. And I'm hoping the experts are wrong, but they're saying there may be a spike in February, and by Thanksgiving you'll be eating Thanksgiving dinner by Zoom. So that didn't sound good. Monday, I think I read that. So hopefully they're wrong.
Mr. Mayor, I agree with Councilman Green. I think we should give the phase 3 a little time and see what happens with the numbers. I get the numbers from the governor's office every day, and they've been going down, which is good. Every county in Maryland has a less than 5% positivity rate, which is the metric you really want to watch. So I think let's give it a little bit more time. I mean, I certainly like it better when we all get to be together in person, but we want to be safe too. So,
sure. Yeah. All right. I think everybody's agreed to hold off. I just didn't want to put the issue off anymore. So we'll keep on doing what we're doing. Announcements. Crab feed, drive-through crab feed, September 19th. Need to call one of those two numbers by September 14th, $40 a dozen of crabs. So it's another way of supporting the local fire department. If anyone would like to have a Lions Club fall raffle, it's a whole hog, half a beef, bushel of crabs, and I think 2 turkeys. I believe I don't have the ticket in front of me. See me and I will get you some tickets. That will go off October 3rd, no matter what. And just keep in mind, just pencil if things do get better, and we can throw something together on October 3rd for a couple hours, just kind of a relief, end of summer or something or another, to, have everybody get back together a little bit if we can. Just keep that date open. Have a band that's ready to go. Half Serious said they would be more than happy to come and play for a few hours. So just keep that in mind. And while I was trying to find an email with the actual price of the framing, I saw where I had a text message, and how appropriate. Neal, important notification regarding the USPS package, 2K8815 from 3/16/2020. Click this link.
don't touch it.
Don't touch it, you think?
Do not.
Back from 3/16. I wonder where that package has been. I mean, they could have done a little better by having a little closer date, but anyway. So as a couple of you said, Councilman Smith and Terry and Kim, I think, all be aware. If it one of those looks too good to be true, I'm sure it is. Now, I know Comcast, if you have a Comcast account and you get an email that looks suspicious, you can forward it to abuse@comcast.net. And I don't know what they do with it, but that's what I do with it. And then I hit spam so that I don't see it again. So just a little update on that one. Anything else? Any residents' concerns? Seeing none?
Hey,
Do I hear? Yes.
Real quick, just when you get a chance, doesn't have to be right away, but just send me that name of the gentleman about the tennis lessons so I know when he reaches out who he is.
Okay. I explained to him what all he had to do and give you dates and everything. So.
Okay.
All right. Sure thing. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. Councilman Ed Smith.
In favor, yes.
Okay, all others? 5-0 to adjourn. I apologize for the glitch earlier. I had no control over that, so something was going on, but thank you for your patience. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Everybody, stay safe.
Good night.
Bye.